Yes, so I think everybody probably understands this already by now from the previous conversations, but so this is about the recurrent training for Part 107, and not if you're looking to get your Part 107 and have never taken the test. So what we're going to talk about tonight is only really pertinent to renewals. If you've never taken your 107, you obviously are going to have to go to a test center. You got to study for it. You have to pay a fee somewhere. I paid 150. I think I've heard maybe even up to $190 now. But in this case, the recurrent test or the recurrent training now is free. So that's a big bonus. That was another reason I wanted to wait to take that for another week instead of dropping $150 on it. So that was really nice. I appreciated that. It was a nice present. And so, it's hard to not call it a test because that's what we're used to doing. It is now training. So you are able to do the training. And at the end of it, they still have a test, but it's not something that you're going to fail. They'll have you go back and go back over the questions until you get them all right. So yeah, this is the page that you're going to go to. There's a link down here at the bottom. You can see one important thing. Let's see. Hey, I think it worked. You guys seeing the next page?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you haven't created an account on the FAA website, you go here and there's a place down at the bottom where you can create an account. I think pretty much everybody would have already done this, so you should have a login. So this was back up here in this corner. I just zoomed that in so you could see it a little better.
So let me cut in real quick. So this website here or page is the FAAsafety.gov page. Now, when you get your 107, you'll automatically do your FAA Drone Zone account. Then you'll have to come over here when you want to do your recurrent and make another account. 2 different entities. So just keep that in mind.
So, all right, so we got that. And so the new recurrent training, it's all done online, not at a testing center. So that's nice. You can do it, at home in the middle of the night, like we tried to do with try to beat the rush. And as I mentioned earlier, one of my main motivations was to fly at night. So that was a big deal for me. Not having to go through the waiver process to get the daylight waiver. At the conclusion of the training, after you get through the training and pass the test, if you have to go back and do any of the answers, redo them, then you can print out your new certificate and a little card. And one of the new things is that you have to make sure that you keep that with you. And the new part, I guess, is that you have to present it to any law enforcement agent that asks you for it. Chad, you probably have a little more information on exactly who all that is. But before, you didn't have to present it as the way I understood it, except to the FAA, correct?
So you had, before this, you had to, if an FAA representative or administrator,
Administrator.
Yeah, thank you. And they were the only ones that you had to fork over your ID to. But, that's kind of misleading, because if a police officer comes up to you and asks you for ID, it's best to play along. But now the FAA gave law enforcement the ability to also, I don't want to say act as an agent, but act, to carry over those rights.
So yeah, so now we're supposed to show it to any law enforcement agency that asks for it. One of the things, I might step back for a second, prior to this, we did, when we had one of our NORCODA fly-ins at the Topo Ledges, several representatives from the FAA stopped by just to say hi and, check out our organization and so forth. And I had mentioned to them that and talking with Steve Steele, who's on the call tonight, talking about ramp checks. And I said that I thought that would be a really great idea to do a ramp check for, for the Part 107 drone pilots. And one of the guys, one of the FAA representatives says, "You want to do one right now?" I said, "Well, yeah, sure." And so, he just kind of went through his checklist and so forth. And fortunately, I had everything that I needed. It was good. It wasn't, he wasn't going to penalize me or anything if I didn't. But, I just thought it was a great courtesy thing that they did. But one of the things that I didn't realize is that I was supposed to keep my test results with me, and I actually had it in my bag of tricks that I carried around with me. So I don't know. Since there's no test results now, you do have a certificate you print out, and you're supposed to carry that with you as well.
Once you pass your test, or I'm sorry, your training on this, see, a little old school there, you are able to get that whenever you want. So you can get that on the website. It's stored there underneath courses and certificates. So just if you lose it, or if it, or whatnot.
Which I think is different from before, right? Because before
correct,
when you passed your test at the testing center, and doggone, don't lose a thing, right?
Yes. So they, when you passed your initial, you were able to get on the Airman Registry site and list. If someone wanted to look up within those first 2 years, they could say, "Hey, Mike, yeah, okay, you got this, a year ago, good to go." But after you took that recurrent, it didn't show up on the Airman Registry. So it got very complicated very quickly. So it's nice that they offer this.
All right. So moving ahead. So the training that we're talking about is for non-Part 61 pilots. And I'm not 100% sure what that means, but if I understand right, the Part 61 are the manned aircraft pilots of some sort. Is that right? Is anybody?
Yes.
Sure?
Part 61 means you have a pilot's license, an
Right.
actual manned aviation.
Okay. Yeah, good. We got a pilot online here with us. So thanks, Jason. So you've got to make sure that you get the right one. So the one that we want is the 677, ALC 677. There's another one, ALC 515, that's only for the manned pilots. So I think it's easy to, if you do a search for the renewal, to just make sure that you get the 677. So with the training, there's 4 different parts to it. There's an intro section, a study section, a review, and a final exam, they call it. But again, you are able to go back and correct any answers that you got wrong. So there's a video to watch, some reading, and some practice quizzes, and then you take the exam. It's pretty straightforward. The site's really easy to navigate. Chad and I think we were going to try to show you some of that, but because we already took it, I think the site said that we were not eligible to go back for, I think in my case it said 90 days or something.
90 days.
Go back and look through the exam again.
Now, just to give you kind of a taste of it, the questions are formatted in multiple choice. There are 3 answers, one being correct, the other 2 being wrong. The topics, when I took mine, and from what I hear from other people, is that there was no charts.
Right. Yeah. No aeronautical charts. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't recall there being any weather either, was there?
No.
Yeah. So one of the things that, one of the new things is the night training, which I had actually found a link I think when I was going to try to apply for a night waiver. And it talks about some stuff that, I had no idea. I just figured, you put your strobes on the drone and away you go. But there are some issues with night vision, some physiology that you need to be aware of and so forth, and how you scan the sky watching for your drone so forth, as well as, the requirements for the strobes and the visibility, being able to see those for 3 statute miles, things like that. So it was, that part to me was really pretty interesting to learn about, especially the physiology and about how the eye is put together and why you can't see so well at night if you just strictly zero in and focus on the drone. You can have a hard time, really determining where it is in the sky and its relationship to other things in the environment. Anything you want to add to that, Chad? Or
I kind of the grumpy old man syndrome. The daylight waiver training on here gives you a lot of good information. In the past, we had to write out a test. We had to do. It was very intense. So it's always like, oh, it was a lot harder back in my day. But it gives you the idea. It gives you what you need to fly safe at night. Then it also, what we didn't mention was the flights over people. So there is a section on there that talks about the new category of drones, 1 through 4, and what they are and what that means for flying over people. Now that will come as the producers of drones make them more compatible with those rules. So that's on hold for now. The nighttime waiver or the daylight waiver is now active, but it's kind of weird because if you were to go on to one of the software programs like AirMap or Kitty Hawk or Skyward and try to apply for a nighttime waiver or a nighttime flight, it's not available. So that's a known issue, and they are planning on fixing that unfortunately late summer, early fall, where you'll be able to apply for nighttime flights readily on a phone or on a tablet. So there are things that you have to do before that point to fly at night. One of the things is applying for Lance a half hour before sunrise or sunset, right? So that sets you up for from that time till 12 o'clock, and then you would apply for the next day at the same time a half hour after sunrise. So it gets complicated, but that's if you want to fly in controlled airspace.
So here's something that I discovered when I was flying down in West Virginia a couple weeks ago. I buy my drone flight insurance through Verifly. I don't have a blanket policy that I use year round because I don't typically fly all year long, and it just seems to me like it'd be a waste of money. So when I was flying during the day, and I wanted to just basically buy the policy for, I think it was 6 or 8 hours, I don't recall. And so it said, hey, hang on, wait a minute, you're going to be flying at night. Do you have authorization to do that? So, it was no big deal, but at least with Verifly there, they were allowing you to fly at night. You just had to, check off a few more boxes and so forth that said that you had the ability, the permission to do that.
Chad, if I can interject for a second, did you mention the COA or the certificate of waiver that for the Lance operations at night?
Yeah, they haven't. It goes away. So all of our night waivers, from what I understand, basically 5/17.
Yeah,
they go away.
Right.
Yes, but in order to technically legally fly at night with Lance.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Yeah, you have to carry that with you.
There is that form, which is a certificate of waiver authorization form for Lance night operations. It's form 7711-1.
Yep.
That you'd have to have with you as well. Just throwing that out there.
That's good. Thank you, Jason. I knew there was something.
Thanks, Jason. I wasn't aware of that. I knew there was some discussion about how that was going to work, but didn't know that that had been worked out. I don't know if we talked about this before, but the old certificate was valid for 24 months. The new training, same thing, 24 months, and it goes to the end of the calendar month. So if you do your renewal on the 15th, it's good to the 30th of the month, 2 years from the time you take it. Same, exactly, it works the same way. Airspace authorizations, the best of my understanding, that doesn't change. Those are still valid, right?
Yeah.
So if you had an airspace authorization to fly in whatever airspace, those are still good. And Chad was talking about the operations over people. Everything I read says that, you know, people are excited about the Mavic Mini. Might be the only thing that you can use, but with the rotating props, you'd have to have prop guards, and that puts you over the weight limit. And so basically, it looks like the only thing I can see that would satisfy the requirement today to fly over people would be maybe something like a Tello with prop guards on it, which is really probably not going to do you much good.
So you're correct. The Tello is one of them, and then the one of the tiny whoops, FPV drones would satisfy that.
And also, you can't fly along with traffic. You can just go traverse across it. Is that the way you guys understand it as well?
With one of those drones that fall into that one of those categories, yes.
Right.
Not as of right now. Like, let's say if we had a Phantom, technically, legally, we would still have to play the game of Frogger.
Yeah. So, you know, basically to me, that seems like really, what's the use of flying one of those? I guess you could if you wanted to, but the restrictions, they're so strict that it's really not legal to do it, I don't think. So again, along with that, the operations over moving vehicles, again, those are highly restrictive regulations as well. Let's see.
So what you're looking at here on the screen is one of the screenshots from the first page. This is the page that'll house the video that you watch. Overall, if you go, you know, door to door, count on 2 hours to watch all the videos and answer all the questions and be done.
All right. Let's see.
The second page here is a list of resources that are available to print out or look up or peruse all through the FAA. All those should be free if you try hunting for them.
You talking about this page or the next one, Chad?
Both pages.
Okay, there's the second page of that. Yeah, there's a lot of good references there. All right, I think that's about wraps up everything we had, right? Anything we missed?
No, is there any questions out there, guys? Jeff, come on.
What?
I know you got some questions.
No, I'm good.
All right.
So, guys, you said there were basically no charts and no weather questions. Typically, what were the questions about besides the you know, the operations over people and the things that you just mentioned?
I
Can you
remember
talk about some of the
they had some
topics
of
that were in?
you know, the crew questions, you know, like what are the different positions on the crew?
Visual
the
observer,
fly exam, and also they also went into that deal about the 5 types of, oh, I forget what they call it, but you know, the impulsive, you know, we got to get up in the air right now. Like, you know, if you're flying for a television news station, and you know, the news director says there's a fire, we got to get out there right now, and forget all the, you know, pre-flight checkout stuff, just get in the air. You know, the macho guy, and there's like 5 different. I remember that was in my training. Shoot.
So what was there? 60 questions still.
Yeah, I believe so.
And of that, 3 are on nighttime flying and 3 are on the categories of drones. So the 54 that are left are on regulations, on, you know, how high you can fly, where you can fly, things of that. What was nice, what was not on there was airport traffic signs. It's kind of nice.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, it sounds really relevant. So
Yeah.
I've had my 107 for a year and a half, something like that. And so I, studied the original material from a book and took the test. Do you feel like it would be useful to go back and study some of that material before taking this training, or do you pretty much get what you need from the videos?
I thought I got what I needed from the training. I'll admit, it's been a long time since I was in school, and when I did my initial 107 training, I think I went through the training materials 3 times before I took the test. And when I took the recurrent test, not the training, the test, a couple years ago, I went through the revised training for the recurrent test at least twice. I don't like to have to redo stuff, so I wanted to make sure I passed it.
Right.
This I didn't study at all. The training, I thought, I think they did a good job kind of jogging the memory for things that I'd forgotten. So, yeah, I don't think it's really necessary to go back and study a ton.
Good.
So what's nice about it is the training part. So let's say you go through these 60 questions and you get 2 wrong. What's nice is you're able to, instead of taking the whole test all over again, you just answer those 2 questions correctly and you're done. So really nice, really smooth, and when we did it, it was very efficient.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I did it in maybe an hour and a half, 40 minutes, something like that. But I was pretty meticulous and very careful because, like I said, I don't want to have to go back and redo any questions. So.
And so are you good then? Is this something you have to do every year, or are you good for 2 years again?
2 years, 24 months. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No further questions. Anyone else?
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
This is Mark Himmelman. How you doing?
Hey, Mark. Good.
Good, good. I just want to bring up something that because I'm a hobbyist as well as a Part 107. The FAA and AMA have gotten together with a software company to kind of go between or try to make Lance a little bit easier to access. They say that instead of waiting, it used to be like the 2 weeks or whatever for your authorization to fly in controlled airspace. They now are able to do it within 60 seconds. And the name of the program is called UAS Sidekick. And you can find it at the AMA site, modelaircraft.org/UAS Sidekick. And it's very informative. It was just launched May 5th. So I know that they've gotten, they're still getting some bugs out. But according to at least the sanctioned AMA fields, which are called FRIAs, which are authorized places where you don't have to have remote ID, you don't have to have a broadcast. You can basically, it's a set aside that the FAA did for the modelers to have to not burden the modeler community with extra equipment as long as they were flying in one of these FRIAs. Okay, so all that being said, you can go ahead and it's online now at modelaircraft.org/UA. It's actually UA Sidekick. And check it out. I think it might make Lanx a little bit easier, and it might go hand in hand with our Part 107.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm
Appreciate that. too.
sorry, what was that website again?
Yes, it's modelaircraft.org, which is the AMA website. So it's modelaircraft.org/UASIDEKICK UA Sidekick.
You
Thank
guys have some questions in the chat.
Corey, you want to get that question?
Totally derelict in my duty here. I apologize. Yes. Steve Steele posted some documents. Steve, we'll come back to you in a minute. Question from the group. Can you explain the different categories of drones? So yeah, and then there's one after that. So, but let's start with that. Can you guys kind of sum up what the 4 categories are?
Ooh.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
There you go.
Thanks, Jason.
Wait, what was the middle one again? No.
Oh man, you're really testing this one.
Yeah.
So category 1, and Jason, correct me on this one. Category 1 is under 200 or 249 grams.
It's under 250. Yeah.
Thanks. Let's see. 2, Jason, just go ahead and read this.
Well, there's not
this nailed down.
not a specific weight limit yet. We're gonna have to wait and see what drones meet the criteria for the whole 11 foot-pounds or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's, I jokingly said it, but it's gonna be category 1, 2, 3, or 4. Category 1, as we know, is less than 250 grams, and then it just goes into, we're going to have to wait and see which drones fit these different criteria. Some of these questions are kind of based on the previous webinar that we did last month, which you can find up on our YouTube channel as well. That may kind of explain some of that a little more if you want to look at that. But yeah, there's not a definitive answer right now for categories 2, 3, and 4.
And if we just take a moment and backtrack, there's the 3 new things. You've brought up the third, remote ID. So there is some training and some material in there about remote ID and who's going to need it and when you're going to need it and how it's going to be used. So that was the 3. They left it out because it's not due for another 2 years.
All right. Couple more questions.
Scott, can I
Go ahead,
just
Jason.
real quick? Scott Cuts, thanks for doing this. Real informative. What kind of drone did they use at the Masters Golf Tournament, and did they need special authorization to fly of some sort? Funny enough, I know who did that. Toledo Aerial Media were the guys that did all that. So I mean, they weren't flying over people. Their golf ball drop that they used was with their bigger drone, and that was just over one of the tees for doing that. And then they did get some of the aerial shots that the tournament, I think, eventually used as well. But they weren't necessarily flying over people. The only other thing they would have needed is if it was in airspace, which they would have needed an airspace authorization for something like that. I don't know that there was anything else with the Masters specifically that they would have needed. I don't know if there's a TFR for that or anything. I'm not sure on that end, but hopefully that answers that kind of.
Good, thanks, Jason. We a couple people posted links to that AMA modelaircraft.org UA Sidekick. Those links are links in there a couple times. Dennis asked, "What's the access location for this presentation?" So we are recording this. We'll put this together in a video and we'll publish it on the NORCODA YouTube channel. And it usually takes us a week or 2 to get to that, but it'll be out in a couple of weeks, and we'll post that on Facebook. And if you are not on Facebook or don't get that info, I'll make sure that we include that in our email newsletter too. So if you get one or the other of those, you'll find the link. And if you don't get either of those, you can just email me or contact us through the website. And we'll make sure you can find it. But there's a NORCODA YouTube channel that's got a small collection of things up there now. And we'll be adding these to it. Michael just says, nice compliment. Thanks for the informative meeting. Yeah, we look forward to a flying meetup. If anybody didn't catch that at the top of this briefing, we're planning to do a get together and fly at Cleveland Metro Parks at Top of Ledges in June. We're still working on the date for that, but tentatively Saturday, June 5th. So hope to see some of you out there. Mark also asked, will Part 107 work with integrity on Mars? I'm not sure about, or that might be beyond line of sight. Yeah, that's my guess. Yep. Steve, you want to talk about those two docs you dropped in the chat real quick? Steve Steele.
Yeah, real quick. Just what I did was I posted the website there. That's the all-encompassing secret squirrel book that the agency uses that your tax dollars pay for. It's open to the public. What you're looking for is the 8900.1. If you pull it up in an Internet Explorer on the left-hand side, up and down, I'll say 8900.1 contents. Once you click on that, it will load, and in the center, you'll see, I forget how many volumes there are. I can tell you 1 second. I'm still in here. There are currently 20 volumes. I believe 21 is actually supposed to come out. In either case, volume 16 is UAS. So anything an inspector does with the exception of the compliance program, anything an inspector does when interacting with you as a Part 107 licensed operator will be in accordance with those two documents. And it's public information, so I didn't share anything that you guys can't get on your own.
Great.
As far as that goes, you guys were talking about categories of drones, and the only information I have is in subpart D of Part 107. So Part 107, the 100 series, starting at 100, and it talks about categories of operations 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it tells you about how the operation will be conducted, how the UAS will fall into a category based upon fit, form, function. I agree, Corey. I don't believe has been officially weeded out yet.
Okay, great. That's really helpful. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, everyone, for taking the time to join us tonight for this info. Definitely very helpful to me. Thanks to Chad and Mike for putting it together. It's great to see it, on a screen. Thank you for, sharing your experience as you went through it. Definitely helpful to the pilots and the future recurrent pilots in the group. So we will, we'll have these, as I mentioned, every month or so, we'll have some kind of topic. I think, and rather than a presentation topic, we'll just do the meetup at the park in June. Keep everybody posted on that. If you want to keep track of what we're up to, we have a North Coast Drone Alliance website is norcoda.org. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Mike. That's our website right there. There's an events link up at the top that's got all of our upcoming stuff. That is we keep that current. And then there's a Facebook page as well. And we keep most everything listed on the Facebook page as events too. So if you have any questions for us, want to get in touch with anybody, there's a contact link there. That's great.
Or if any of you guys have ideas for topics that we can talk about, I'm sure that we can, rummage up something between all of us and get you some useful information.
Yeah.
So feel free to send it or type it in or holler it right now.
Absolutely. Steve, you got your hand up, I think.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a real quick question. Did you guys get coordinated with Metro Parks? Because the last I heard, and I can check with my neighbor across the street, he's a cop there, but I heard they had rules against launch and recovery in the Metro Parks.
They do. All Metro Parks except for 5 I think it's either 5 or 6 designated locations. And the
Okay.
place that we did our meetup last year is one of those. And we cleared it with them ahead of time. They said if you're 10 to 15 people, it's not a big deal. You don't even have to call us. But Top of Ledges out at Hinckley, that picnic area, kind of up the hill from, I think it's Whip's Ledges there.
Okay,
is
just
one of
wanted to
the-
make sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, there are a few identified spots, but if you go on the, if anybody's interested, you can go on the Metro Parks website and just type in drones on their search box and it'll pop that out. All right. If there are no further questions or comments, we'll let everyone go. Thanks for joining us tonight. Everybody have a good evening.
Thanks, Corey.
Thanks for coming, guys.